Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Ken Reif, and welcome back to another installment of the 2009 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series for the final exhibition race of 2009. We're here from Lowe's Motor Speedway. It's the Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge here from Charlotte, the home of NASCAR, as we get set under the lights. Got one event before the main show. We got the All-Star Open coming your way in just a moment. Going to take you to the racetrack for your starting lineup in this event as on pole, it's going to be the rookie, the number 83 of A.J. Allmendinger, starting in first. And to his outside, Brad Keselowski in the 2 makes it an all-Pontiac front row to start the All-Star Open. Third place is going to be Shane Meal in the number 47. J.J. Yaley is in fourth in the number 10. Justin Allgaier starts this race from P5. Scott Riggs, the 57, to his outside in sixth. Seventh place goes to Kyle Busch with Stephen Light in eighth. Elliott Sadler is in P number 9, and Rogelio Lopez is in 10th. Ryan Hemphill starts this race from 11th in the 00 car. Joey Logano is in 12th. 13th place goes to Kevin Harvick in the 20. Jay McMurray is in 14th to his outside. Todd Cleaver is in the 15th spot with Ricky Hendrick in P16. Jeremy Mayfield in the 51, 17th with Brad Coleman in 18th. Denny Hamlin will be in the 19th position, and Mark Martin's 06 rounds out the top 20. Colin Brown in the number 21, the number 23, he is in the 21st spot. TJ Bell is in 22nd. Boris Said starts this race from 23rd. Ryan Newman is in 24th. David Reagan in P25. Morgan Shepherd 26 with Travis Kvapil in 27th. 28th is John Wood in the number 21. And rounding out the field in the 29th and final spot, Reed Sorensen's number 36. In the All-Star Open. It's a 29-car field, all racing for 3 transfer spots and 1 fan vote after that. We're going to take you trackside for the most famous words in motorsports. It's the command here from Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field roars to life as we get set to roll 50 laps here in the Open. And it'll be a 100-lapper in the main event, the All-Star, after this. One of the raciest tracks on the calendar is Lowe's Motor Speedway, and that is always amped up to 11 on All-Star Weekend. All these guys getting a chance for both practice for the 600 next Sunday, and on top of that, trying to find their way into the big show for the $1 million coming up right after this here on this Sunday night in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, don't expect any punches to be held with this open field. These guys are antsy to get up to the front and hold position because this track, while it is very racy, track position is harder and harder to come by as the race goes on. It's hard to make your way through the field, but because it is so racy and guys constantly move around, so these restarts, it's going to be really important to get up on the wheel early, make some aggressive moves. But also, don't be too aggressive because we've seen off of turn number 2 and turn number 4 that to be trouble spots at this racetrack with potential cautions. So, don't expect these guys to be anything less than at 110%. But they're also got to be smart enough to keep their car in one piece for the rest of this Open.
Allmendinger, the rookie in the 83, Brad Keselowski to his outside. They're going to take it to the box, waiting for the signal. Green flag is in the air, and the 2009 All-Star Open is underway as we race into turn 1. Off of turn number 4 for the first time, a good start from the inside line. Allmendinger leads the opening lap, but not going to hold it for long. Shane Meal in the 47, he's going to take it down to the bottom side. We've seen the dynamics at this racetrack in the past with the outside working just a shade better than it does in 1 and 2 through 3 and 4. See 3 wide further back in the field as Jay McMurray ends up on the outside lane. He loses a bunch of spots down there in the mid-pack. That was Jeremy Mayfield's number 51 down on the bottom trying to go past. Everybody else double file. And Shane Meal on lap number 2 takes over the lead single file through the first 5 spots back to Kyle Busch in the 43 from 5th.
Meal did a very good job off of the start there. controlling the pace and getting to the lead. Gonna see Keselowski potentially look for second on Allmendinger, but doesn't quite make that move yet.
You're going to see this accordion effect at this racetrack where these guys string out a little bit, then the first couple of spots on the racetrack start to battle, pulls everybody back else into it, and results in these big stack-ups where these guys get racy for a couple laps at a time, move for the third position, almost. Everybody trying to keep it together there. Brad Keselowski holds P3 for the moment. Meanwhile, AJ Allmendinger looking for the lead versus Shane Meal coming out of turn 4, looking for a little bit of clean air on the nose there on the bottom, but not able to generate a run big enough to get to the back of the 47. Keselowski drops off of the top 2 just a little bit. Scott Riggs putting pressure on him for the third and final transfer spot, as we'll be 5 laps in this time by.
And something about this Open and All-Star Weekend, and guys, it's a really good momentum builder for a lot of these teams, especially that are struggling. If they can have a good weekend in the All-Star race, well, it may not give them anything as far as points go. It's just something positive to build on. Whereas maybe a slump has been going for a while. We're focusing on Scott Riggs right now. It's been a really rough season for Scott Riggs so far. Transferring through the Open would be huge for that 57 team.
Yeah, it just kind of builds confidence to have a race like this where some of the more midfield drivers can have an opportunity to run up front. But there are quite a few drivers we've been familiar with at the top of the table in the Cup Series in the past who currently sit in the top 3. Shane Meal, who has been a contender for his first career win a couple of times, hasn't quite been able to get it done. AJ Allmendinger, one of the more promising prospects in the Cup Series right now. Brad Keselowski, who's had his ring around the horn a couple of times in the 2-car, has a win into his name in the Cup Series. Riggs has won in Cup in the past, Kyle Busch as well. But a new face joining the fray at the top of the table, Ryan Hemphill, off to a pretty good start since the drop of the green flag. His first race in the 00 this season after making a couple of starts in the 06 for No Fear, giving him the preemptive call to run the 00, as he will be in this car full-time next year and getting the chance to make some starts here as Jason Leffler was released from the team prior to Willow Springs last weekend. We saw Jacques Villeneuve in the 00 that week. Side-by-side for the lead, AJ Allmendinger, the pole sitter in the Open, takes over the top spot versus Shane Meal in the 47. And grabs the lead back. Him and Shane Meal, the only 2 drivers to have led laps so far in this race, but Brad Keselowski in the 2 is under the 47 for the second position. Meanwhile, might give the opportunity for somebody to grab third. No, Shane Meal, great run on the outside there in 3 and 4. We talked about that outside working just a little bit in 3 and 4, and that proves to be the case this time through as one of the faster cars in this race so far. Shane Meal able to hold on to the outside lane and retain the second position versus Keselowski, who stays P3.
We got a really, really good run through 3 and 4 there, and potentially could look for the lead here. Doesn't decide to make the move there, but definitely helps to be a little bit lower on the racetrack right now. You can hold serve early in the run on the top lane, but it definitely does move down to the bottom as the race progresses.
And here you're going to see Shane Meal back to the bottom. Of course, it's not a guarantee you can hold that spot on the outside lane, and Allmendinger not quite able to do it as Shane Meal in the 47 right back to the race lead. Now Brad Keselowski in the 2 is going to challenge for the second position, might take Kyle Busch with him to move into the third and final transfer spot in front of Allmendinger's in number 83.
And again, as a momentum builder race, Kyle Busch running up here. It's been a real struggle with him in that 43 team for the last few seasons. Just being up here, running at the front, seeing the front of the field, even if it's not the full field, that's got to feel good for that team.
Not quite able to pass Allmendinger for third as the 83 holds that third position around the outside in 3 and 4. Takes fellow Dodge Riggs with him into 5th. Justin Allgaier trying to get off to a good mid-portion of the race after a bit of a slower start. in the first segment of this event. Side by side once again for second as Allmendinger looks to retake P2. Kyle Busch with another opportunity to try to move into a transfer spot. Keselowski trying to find some grip up on the outside lane in turns 1 and 2. But that's not going to be able to happen, and Kyle Busch into the third position. First time we've seen a new driver in one of the transfer spots in a while, as the 43 for RPM takes over that third spot, but Keselowski still hounding his back bumper to maybe try and retake that position for P3.
Starting to see the field single file out till about the 11th or 12th position. Looks like they're starting to single file here too now, but Light, the first car side by side, gonna be side by side with Hamlin off of turn 4.
15 laps completed in the All-Star Open as the top 4 with a little bit of a breakaway from the rest of the field thanks to this single filing that we've seen. Keselowski still right behind Kyle Busch for the third spot, and Kyle Busch right up the back bumper of Allmendinger for second. And Shane Meal not far out of reach from the 83. Nice corner by the top 2, pulling away from Busch just a little bit down the front stretch. Of course, with the fuel and tire package brought to this racetrack for the All-Star, we saw a different tire package and fuel tank setup for the All-Star in previous years, and this is the first time that they're going with the standard setup in comparison to the Coke 600 next weekend for the points race. So we will be seeing green flag pit stops both in this event and in the main event coming your way after this, and should be just a little bit past halfway. These guys can make it on fuel. Would not be surprised to see them come in earlier and try to split this race in half, but we'll see. Depends on the racetrack and the feel of the crew chiefs. This is a very quick racetrack and a little friendlier to tires than most of the mile-and-a-halfs on the calendar. So would not be surprised to see them go a little bit long, but that all remains to be seen. Keselowski taking a look underneath of Kyle Busch to retake P3 here on the front stretch. Busch going to really drive it off there into turn 1 and holds him off. A nice defensive move by the 43. He retains the third spot over Keselowski. And matter of fact, gained a lot of time on Allmendinger for second down the backstretch.
Yeah, the top lane, if you run it correctly, can be a very good defensive line. Allmendinger for the lead on Shane Meal. Kyle Busch got a huge run, but Allmendinger got a bigger run. And Meal walked it up the racetrack that time. That should give the lead to Allmendinger.
New race leader A.J. Allmendinger right back to the top spot. Don't look now. Kyle Busch trying to take over the second position. Brad Keselowski with a chance to follow into third. Shane Meal, though, with a great run around the outside lane. Again, great defense from the 47. Is looking like he might be one of the better cars, if not the best car in this Open, and is able to hold on to P2. That sets Kyle Busch off on the back foot as he had to come out of throttle on the bottom in turn 4. Shane Meal, big run down the backstretch. He takes it to the inside. Allgaier underneath of Keselowski for fourth. Who yields at the top of the table? Allmendinger, big run on the outside, trying to hold the 47 off, and he's going to be able to do it. Kyle Busch takes a look to the outside into 1. Nowhere for him to go just yet. Still side by side for fourth behind that. Allgaier with help from J.J. Yaley in the 10, who had a good starting spot in this race, but first time he's been up front since the drop of the green flag.
That was interesting. We just saw the 83 of Allmendinger run way higher on the top of the racetrack than we've seen anybody else go, and his teammate Allgaier just tried it, was not quite able to get that kind of run.
Shane Meal again down to the bottom. Allmendinger trying to find the grip up top, but this time just isn't quite able to find it. Kyle Busch is going to give some draft help to this 47 down the backstretch, and Shane Meal once again is going to retake this race lead. The 43 right underneath trying to follow suit. Dead heat between those two for the second position. J.J. Yaley right up the back bumper of his fellow Dodge down the front stretch. Kevin Harvick, for the first time today, has entered the top 5 in the 20. Busch down on the bottom out of turn 2. He's able to take second. Can Yaley follow into third? He will. And he's going to take it to the bottom of Kyle Busch for the runner-up spot down into turn 3.
Kyle Busch trying what Allmendinger did on that top lane, but it doesn't look like he quite has the run.
Going to be close here in turn 1. Yaley to the bottom trying to force the issue, but Kyle Busch is able to hold him off.
Just barely got down in there. Allmendinger trying to fight hard on the outside, but I'm just not sure it's going to work for that long. He's going to have to try to find his way back down. Look how high he's running.
All the way against the outside wall versus his teammate. Look at this run he pulls down the front stretch. It worked out for him. Again for the second position. J.J. Yaley underneath. This time he'll have it. He's going to do it. 10 and J.J. Yaley past Kyle Busch for second. That allows the opportunity for Kevin Harvick to take over third versus Kyle Busch's number 43. And at the halfway mark, hand out the window for Shane Meal. He's going to bring it down pit road. Allmendinger, the other driver to have led a lot of laps today, he's going to do the same. So the top 2 are the only takers. The drivers who spent most of this race in the top 2 are going to bring it down pit road right at the same time. You have to think that running out front might have cost them a little bit of extra fuel, as well as tires. They spend a lot of time running hard at the front of this field, so that's going to force them to bring it down pit road earliest out of anybody. Allgaier will pit. Kevin Harvick is going to bring it down pit road. Kyle Busch. J.J. Yaley, the new leader, stays long. Handful of others remain on the pits on the racetrack. Ooh, contact! As Boris said went sideways on pit entry there. That was Morgan Shepherd, who was a little bit too hot on pit entry and got into the back of the 60. And that results in damage on the front of the 89, who was already towards the back end of the field in today's race. Meanwhile, J.J. Yaley will lead the last of the field down pit road on lap number 28.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anybody's going to stay out an extra lap. 3-lap pit cycle. That's everybody's in.
Yaley hits the pits from what was the current race lead. We wait to see how Shane Meal shakes out versus traffic. Of course, him and Allmendinger take a very clean pit road. It was a much worse stop for the 83, who is really nowhere in shot. And down the backstretch, a very nice stop for Kevin Harvick in the number 20. See how warmed up tires work out for Shane Meal here as he tries to run down Kevin Harvick for what should be the net race lead. That was a pretty clean stop for Harvick. He may very well hold the lead coming out of pit road.
Yeah, I am curious where that 83 went, because when you look behind the 47, it's not the 83, it's the 43. Looks like he cycled out behind the 8 of Sadler.
Yeah, just not quite the pit stop he would have been hoping for, but a lot of other people, thanks to all the traffic, got held up even more, so he is still in the top 10 at the moment, if I am not mistaken. Exactly 10th for the 83 as they go too wide in front of him. That is Colin Brown's number 23 on the bottom. Shane Meal just got past Kevin Harvick while we looked away to get an update on Allmendinger. He gets the top spot back from Harvick. A good gap for him. J.J. Yaley is in third. Kyle Busch in the 43 trying to draft on him and run him down for the third and final transfer spot. Todd Cleaver and Elliott Sadler, 2 good stops for the 98 and the 8 as they sit 5th and 6th.
And I think it's 10 of Yaley's hoping that these two fight each other as hard as they possibly can to try to bring him up into this battle. He may be able to get there anyways. We'll see. But those two up front, definitely the battle to watch right now. They're the closest on the racetrack, within a fighting shot at the win.
And on top of that, Kyle Busch is riding like a rocket right now up to the back bumper of Yaley. Meanwhile, Kevin Harvick got a run coming out of turn 2. He's going to take it back to the bottom versus Shane Meal for the lead. Two Chevrolets at the top of the table go side by side. Shane Meal trying to carry that run down the front stretch. I believe Harvick had him by a nose at the stripe, just about. And into turn 1, Harvick's going to drive it off in there, forces Shane Meal wide in the wake, and Harvick takes back the race lead.
These two are going to swap back and forth, and every time they do that, that 10 and the 43 are going to get bigger and bigger in the rear view mirrors. I've been really impressed at the speed of that 43 today. We haven't seen this kind of speed out of Petty in quite a long time. Even if this is just the open, this car has looked good enough to win this race.
And he just blew past J.J. Yaley for the third and final transfer spot with that move in turns 1 and 2. He's got a ways to get back up towards our leaders, but these two are drafting off of each other, and meanwhile, the 47 and the 20 have been dueling for the lead. Keep an eye at the top of your screen at that gap between Kyle Busch and the leaders, Harvick and Shane Meal. It's about a second and a half right now, but that could close. Never mind, battle for third rages on. J.J. Yaley, what a counterattack, and he deals with Kyle Busch in just one set of corners.
And now we got a 4-car battle for the transfer spot in third place. This could get exciting down to the end of this thing.
Back underneath is Shane Meal for the lead versus Harvick. He wants to win this open. Harvick's not making it easy on him. The 20 around the outside. Shane Meal down on the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch is in a battle with Cleaver for 4th, as those guys have gained half a second in about a lap and a half thanks to the side-by-side for the race lead. Yaley starting to close in on drafting distance for our top two. Still Harvick hanging around the outside versus Shane Meal for the lead.
I know tires don't matter a great deal here, but I do wonder if tires will matter to an extent at the very end of this race, with the 47 going, you know, just a lap or two more than everybody else on tires. He's going to have the oldest tires along with Allmendinger wherever he's at now.
"13 laps to go in the open." Shane Meal with the lead. It's Kevin Harvick second. J.J. Yaley closing in from the third position. Then you've got Cleaver, Sadler, Kyle Busch, your top 6, all under a blanket dueling for the top 3 positions in this race.
And by the end of this thing, any of these guys could be the top 3 by the end. I am inclined to say the 47 has looked the fastest. But here comes Yaley for second.
Keep in mind, the 10 has got the freshest tires of any of the leaders in this race, so he's got the best looking car for the end of it at the moment. Of course, that 47 has been the best raw car in and of itself, but Shane Meal has the oldest tires of the top 6. Cleaver closes the gap. He tries to get underneath a Harvick for the third and final spot into the main event. J.J. Yaley has closed the gap to the leader, Shane Meal. Don't look now. The Nationwide 10 is on the back bumper for the race lead.
Taking a look.
He's going to get there. Down to the inside goes J.J. Yaley. He tries to take the point away from Shane Meal, who's still hanging tough around the outside. Cleaver in the 98 joins the picture. 10 laps to go here from Lowe's in the open. Cleaver thinking about taking it 3 wide. He gets down to the bottom. Yaley almost in the outside wall, but he holds on to the lead, if only for a moment. Cleaver, with help from Harvick, he's down to the bottom for the lead.
Cleaver on the high side, going into the corner, swoops down to the bottom and takes the lead. Fantastic move from Todd Cleaver.
Cleaver, the 98, to the lead with 9 to go. Harvick right behind him, trying to force him a little bit wide with a little bit of an arrow push off into turn 1. Shane Meal a little bit sideways, side by side for the third position. Really sideways coming out of turn 2.
Those guys just holding on for dear life right now. It's on at the front of the field. 3 spots up for grabs. Who's going to get them?
Cleaver leads, Harvick second, Yaley third, Meal clear of Sadler for the 4th position around the outside. The 43 of Kyle Busch getting back into the picture thanks to all the battling. He's looking to try and take that 5th spot from the 8. 4 of them under a blanket up at the top of the table. JJ Yaley with a big run on Harvick. Harvick almost took it 3 wide up the middle going into turn 3. He's going to have to hang tough around the outside and does what a run by the 20 on the top side to hold off JJ Yaley, who's now under fire from Shane Meal for 3rd.
Meal clawing his way back. That 47 just so good, even on the old tires. But he's going to have to stick behind just for now of this 10 of Yaley.
7 laps to go. It'll be 6 left at the stripe this next time by. Cleaver with the lead. Harvick right behind him has looked mighty quick over the course of this second run. Does he have a chance to try to take over that lead versus Cleaver's number 98? 6 to go. He's going to dive it to the bottom into turn 1. Side by side for the lead as Harvick tries to take back that top spot. Yaley looking to follow on the bottom. Little bit of a breathe of the throttle there. You saw the flames out of the right side, but he's got a push from Shane Meal, who's going to try to push him through and take 3rd for himself and grab that transfer spot.
Cleaver just trying to hold on the outside, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to have to tuck back in. Looking. He might have a chance at 2nd here. Not quite.
Yaley trying to really drive it off into turn 1, hold the 47 at bay. He does. Shane Meal into 3rd. Cleaver still falling like a rock in the outside, but with the draft down the backstretch is able to slot into 4th, so it's not over for him yet. Sadler's not out of the picture either. 4 to go at the line this time. Harvick has pulled away just a little bit. Look at this block! Todd Cleaver down to the bottom, 3 wide for the 2nd position into turn 1.
Cleaver said, "I'm not done yet." But he's going to have to drop back in line. Didn't quite have the run. Harvick is scooting away with this win as the battles for 2nd and 3rd.
Cleaver on the bottom. Yaley trying to drive around the outside and hold that 3rd position versus the 98, who made such a gutsy move down to the inside in turn 1. Yaley holds him off for the moment. 3 laps to go. The 10's got the final transfer spot. Can he hang on to it? Huge run by Todd Cleaver headed through turns 1 and 2. He's back to the back bumper of the 10 again. He takes it to the inside once more. Through 3 and 4. Can Cleaver get him on the bottom in 3 and 4 this time? He's got the nose ahead. 2 laps left. And Shane Meal's closing the gap on Kevin Harvick for the lead and the win. Yaley way out of line. Cleaver's going to clear him down the back stretch for the 3rd and final spot in. Don't look now. Kyle Busch has found his way into 4th. Harvick is going to take the field through turns 3 and 4 and towards the white flag. Last lap in the open. Can Cleaver hang on to 3rd? Through 1 and 2. Kyle Busch into the 4th position. Does he have anything for the 98? Looking like we're going to hold steadfast. Harvick into 3 for the final time. What a race for the final couple transfer spots. This time out of turn 4, Harvick is going to see the checkered flag. He wins the All-Star Open. Shane Meal in 2nd and Todd Cleaver in 3rd advance to the All-Star.
Man, got a second to catch our breath. Now what a race that was at the end. Cleaver, Mr. Excitement there at the end, is going to get through. And these guys behind going to have to hope for lucky fan vote for their buddies in the grandstands to vote them into this thing. But I'd say the 2 fastest cars throughout this second run definitely did qualify, and man, that 3rd spot was such a toss-up. So many good cars there at the end.
An absolutely fantastic run down to the end here in Lowe's Motor Speedway. And it is Kevin Harvick who just barely manages to get it done. Shane Meal tried to run him down there right at the very end of that thing, but it just wasn't meant to be for him, and Harvick is the winner of the Open. as it'll be Cleaver in the 3rd spot, your final transfer. We'll get back to you on the fan vote in just a little bit and get on to the main event, the 2009 NASCAR Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge, coming from Lowe's Motor Speedway. 100 laps left on the docket. You won't miss a thing. We're going to take you to intermission. It's NASCAR on ESPN, and we will be right back. Glad to have you join us here on NASCAR on ESPN as we return from intermission for the main event. It is the main All-Star Challenge, the Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge, coming your way here from Lowe's Motor Speedway in Charlotte as we get set for the second half and the more important half, the $1 Million Show, coming your way in just a moment. We take you to the racetrack for your starting lineup for this 100-lap event. 2 segments, one half, and that $100,000 bonus at the halfway, all yet to come. Carl Edwards in the number 19 car, always a successful driver at these intermediates. He's going to start up front on pole, and to his outside is Tony Stewart in the number 42. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 is going to be starting in the 3rd position. 4th place goes to Jeff Gordon in the number 24. 5th place is going to be Robbie Gordon in the 13 and Matt Kenseth in the 6th position in the 17 car. 7th is going to be Kurt Busch, with 8th going to DJ Kennington. 9th is Casey Kane, and Greg Biffle rounds out the top 10. Clint Boyer in the 11th position with Juan Pablo Montoya in 12th. Marcos Ambrose is in 13th with Casey Mears 14th. Scott Wimmer 15th. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 16th. And Michael Waltrip is the final of the locked-in cars into this event. And meanwhile, our 4 drivers in from the Open, 3 on transfers. Kevin Harvick, the winner of the All-Star Open. Shane Meal is the 2nd place finisher in 19th. 20th is Todd Cleaver. And rounding out the field in the 21st spot is your fan vote winner. That's Kyle Busch in the number 43, your 4th place finisher from the Open. 21 cars all going to be racing for $1 million for the second time tonight. We're going to take you trackside for the most famous words in motorsports, the command here from Lowe's once again.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field comes to life as we get set to roll 100 laps. That midway break for that $100,000 bonus at the halfway point, all set to come. But Carl Edwards is going to start up front, and to his outside is Tony Stewart. So, notes and things from the Open. Of course, we saw a lot of racing. It got real racy at the end of it. You can expect multiple green flag pit stops today. But Carl Edwards in the 19 going to take us to it on the start. 2 50-lap segments make up your 100-lap official race here in the All-Star Challenge.
110 laps for $1 million. I bet these guys are going to be as antsy as possible to get to the front. Carl Edwards has been so good at this exact type of racetrack. It's no wonder that he's on pole. But quite a lot of hungry drivers behind him, and if this Open was anything like what this main show is going to be, we're in for a treat.
Edwards, the 19, the pole sitter. He's going to take us to the green flag this time from one of the racetracks that he very nearly won at last year. Both times we visited this place, he was one of the cars to beat. And he's on pole once again here in 2009. Tony Stewart, the 42, to his outside. It's a bunch of Cup champions behind the 19 of Carl Edwards, who are going to start all up front. Edwards takes us to it. Green flag is in the air. Great start for the 19, and we are underway from the All-Star Challenge. Out of turn 4 for the first time here tonight. A good start for the inside line, as is typical at this racetrack. Edwards leads the opening lap. Johnson in the 48 is the one right behind him as they are side by side for 3rd. That's Robbie Gordon in the 13 underneath of Tony Stewart, the outside pole sitter. Off of the start, Jeff Gordon in the 24 finds his way back down to the bottom lane as everybody gets settled in. It is a Chevrolet party at the top of the table.
First forward in line going to be Kurt Busch in the 01, who's passing his teammate Tony Stewart. And you have to go a row further back to find 3 Pontiacs with Kane, Kenseth, and Boyer. But out front, still Carl Edwards as championship leader Robbie Gordon looks for 2nd.
Great run by the 13 off the start, takes it to the bottom as he goes side by side with Jimmy Johnson for the runner-up spot. Johnson's teammate Jeff Gordon is right behind in the 24, looking like he's going to follow the 13 down to the inside lane. Side by side, off into turn one. Aravi driving it pretty hard down to the bottom. Trying to take over versus the 48, and he is going to grab that second position. Jeff Gordon trying to follow still on the inside. Kurt Busch enters the top 5 in the 01 after passing his teammate about a lap ago. He's into the mix for what would be the third position right now. Johnson trying to drive around the outside of Jeff Gordon, his teammate, for third, and does. He holds on to that third position. Carl Edwards looking comfortable in the lead in the 19 right now.
And he has just been so good at this racetrack in particular throughout the course of the last year or two. And right now, flexing his muscles once again. Another car we're starting to see move forward, the 12 of Casey Kane, someone else who is historically very good at this racetrack. Seen him win here a couple times. Wouldn't be surprised to see him take home $1 billion tonight.
Has an all-star win to his name, has won the Coke 600 before, and finds his way into the top 5 early. Jeff Gordon right up the back bumper of his teammate Johnson, who took a look versus Robbie Gordon for second, but couldn't quite pull the move off. First battle on the racetrack right now is for 7th. Clint Boyer in the 4 moves past Tony Stewart to take over that spot. Greg Biffle looking to follow through on the bottom as well. Single file through the top 7 positions now. Top 6 are all in a line back to Kurt Busch in the 01. Nobody's yet been able to challenge that 19 of Carl Edwards for the lead since the drop of the green flag. Jeff Gordon underneath of his teammate Johnson for third. Kurt Busch looks for 5th against Kane. Allows Boyer in the 4 to close up on the top 6. Makes it 7 cars under a blanket at the top of the table. Another great drive around the outside by Johnson. Holds that top versus his teammate for an entire lap and is able to retain P3. Jeff Gordon now under fire from Kurt Busch for 4th and is forced to yield the inside. You see Kurt Busch putting a little bit of air on his left rear going into turn 1 and is able to get underneath. And a big run by Johnson up to the back bumper of Robbie Gordon for 2nd. He's going to take it to the bottom. All still happening behind the McDonald Chevrolet at the top of the table.
And I mean, not quite up here yet, but we're starting to see some of our open guys move through. So Kevin Harvick just behind this big pack of cars, and Neal following him through.
Yeah, as of right now, it is 13th for Harvick, and then Kyle Busch is 16th, Shane Neal 18th, and Todd Cleaver down in the very last position at the moment. A little bit of a mistake in 1 and 2, I believe, that just cost him a couple of spots. He's behind the 55 and the 88. As we settle in, 10 laps complete of the 100 official laps to be ran here tonight. 19:48.01 have broken away from the rest of the field just a little bit. Jimmy Johnson might be the first to try and challenge this 19 of Carl Edwards for the lead. He was pretty close off of the initial start of this race, but couldn't quite make anything happen before getting forced into the battle for the 2nd spot. Battle for 4th is an absolute conglomerate of race cars behind the top 3 right now. Casey Kane in the 12 trying to clear the 16 of Biffle, but can't quite do it. Jeff Gordon, Robbie Gordon stuck on the outside. Matt Kenseth in the 17. He's a member of the picture now. Stewart found his way back to the bottom. Marcos Ambrose is in the picture, and Kevin Harvick, who's looking like he's got himself a great race car here in the main event. Winner of the Open finds his way into the top 15 and fighting for a potential top 10 right now. Battle for 2nd spot behind Carl Edwards as Kurt Busch is putting the pressure on Jimmy Johnson for the runner-up position. Again, that 48, who's looked so strong on the outside for the majority of this race, is able to hold on. These top three have ran away from the rest of the field thanks to the heated battle for fourth. Greg Biffle is finally able to clear in front of Tony Stewart, who takes over P5. Casey Kane slots back into line 6. Kenseth fighting Boyer for 7th place.
As man, these three up front have rocketed away at the moment. Kurt Busch, haven't talked about him a whole lot today, but that 01 looking stout. But nobody's had anything for this 19 of Edwards yet.
Busch looking under Johnson for second again, still not able to make anything happen. Top three remaining single file. Biffle in the 16 now clear the rest of traffic, trying to close back up to the top three with a little bit of draft help. .15 laps completed. Johnson now to the bottom. First time we've seen side by side for the lead in this race. Can Johnson make it happen on the bottom? This is the end of the racetrack where that top really likes to work, but a great corner by the 48. Still side by side off into turn 1. Let's see what Edwards can do on the top in 1 and 2. And the answer is not a lot. Johnson on the bottom. First time we've seen a new leader in the All-Star Challenge. The 48 takes over P1. Battle for 4th further back. 16 of Biffle side by side with Kane. Has help from fellow Pontiac Clint Boyer in the 4. Kane clear the 16. Now he moves into the 4th position, the catbird seat behind our leaders. Edwards trying to find out what he's got in traffic for the first time today, but instead Kurt Busch is going to try to run Johnson up the road, and he will. Another time we've seen that 01 just sneak the nose against the quarter panel of the car in front of him and force him up the racetrack with the lack of grip. We saw it with Jeff Gordon. Now we see it with the 48 having to chase that back end up the racetrack, and it results in Kurt Busch ending up in the advantageous spot down on the bottom. Edwards trying to help him. Thinking about taking it 3 wide, but he's going to think better of that move. Third leader of the race, and Kurt Busch is into the top spot.
Yeah, 3 wide at this racetrack. We saw it in the open for Cleaver. It benefits no one because they all fell back when doing that. You can make a 3 wide move, but you lose a lot of time doing so. You're better suited just to stay in line and take your opportunities as they come. And here comes Edwards back for the lead.
Just as fast as he lost it, the 19 is looking to regain that top spot. Moved into second following Kurt Busch. And he is clear before they even got out of turn 2. Boyer in the 4 joins the fray. Kane has caught this lead pack. Biffle is with them as well. But Carl Edwards right back into the lead. And you're seeing just how good that 19 car is right now as he pulls away while they battle for second. Closing up on our first pit window of the night in a handful of laps from now. Will be the first chance for the pit crews to shine here in the All-Star Challenge. How about Clint Boyer? Big run down the backstretch. He's going to take it to the inside, side by side with Johnson for second. As long as he can hang to the inside here into turn 1, and looking like he's going to, should be able to take this P2 running spot from the 48. Johnson going to try to find that grip way up high. But just had to keep it out of the wall coming out of turn 2, and Clint Boyer moves into the second position. All of this, once again, still happening behind the 19 of Edwards, who has led by far the majority of the laps in this one.
Yeah, this 19 just looks so good in the clean air. And we saw him good in traffic too, was able to retake the lead after losing it. This 19 really, really stout up front. But Boyer looking to have some speed of his own, having jumped into this top 3 that have broken away for so long. He's holding his own.
Boyer running the 19 down the front stretch. Might have an opportunity to take it to the inside into 1. No, he's going to play it patient. Edwards holds the lead. Boyer second, Johnson third, Kurt Busch still fourth. The 1948 and 01 have been the mainstays at the top of the table, but Boyer looking like he's got some pace. Johnson's going to take it to the inside. See if Boyer can ride that top. We've seen that inside line has worked a lot better through 3 and 4 in the main event than it did in the open. Boyer able to pull down the front stretch, but Johnson is going to have the advantageous line through turns 1 and 2. But a great run on the outside by Boyer. Can he clear Johnson into turn 3? He got close. He's going to be clear as he drives it off on entry. Man, I think they're going to be pitting here this time. They are. Man, Clint Boyer aggressive on pit entry, and he is able to hold the second spot of the drivers who brought it down pit road. Meanwhile,
excellent job from Boyer.
About half of the field stays out. Robbie Gordon's able to take advantage of Kurt Busch getting held up by cars heading in, takes over the current race lead. But the main leaders are on pit road. Johnson and Edwards, as well as Clint Boyer, the top 3, hit their pit boxes, 4 tires and fuel, just past midway in the first segment. Boyer off the jack and away. Johnson, a really long hold for the 48, and not a good pit stop for Jimmy Johnson at all. That was not what he was looking for. He falls way down the order. Edwards, meanwhile, gets leapfrogged. What a stop by Clint Boyer as he's able to take over what could be the net lead coming out of pit road. Meanwhile, Kurt Busch and Robbie Gordon on pit lane. 4 tires and fuel. Kurt Busch is able to get away cleanly, as does Robbie Gordon. Those two really tight coming off of pit road. Kurt Busch trying to find a way around the 13, but can't. Waiting for the traffic that was already on the racetrack. Here comes Boyer off of the undercut, and the great pit stop that he pulled off. Look at how far in front of the 19 he is. An absolutely perfect stop for the 4, and Boyer has the lead. What a pit stop.
Excellent job by that Morgan McClure crew, and he is out well in front of Edwards. Like, far in front.
Side by side for third behind the 19 as Marcos Ambrose with a really nice pit stop is into P3. Fourth is Robbie Gordon. Fifth is Kurt Busch. But Clint Boyer with a huge lead. We'll see if Edwards is able to run him down before this first segment ends at lap 50. Boyer has the best lap of the race so far. It is a 28, 049. Nearly broke into the 27s with the draft help that he got cutting through the field earlier in this race. And he is looking mighty comfortable at the top of the table right now. Edwards slowly gaining time on our race leader. Ambrose fighting with Robbie Gordon for third still. Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane make up the rest of the leading group. Nice pit stop for Kyle Busch. And again, that really rough stop for Jimmy Johnson put him a long way down the order. He's outside the top 15 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, disastrous for the 48 team. But on the opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, what a job by Clint Boyer to get into the pits to retain second place, and an even better job by the pit crew to net him out to the lead. Now Edwards is going to close back up. That's the nature that we've seen at this racetrack, but it's going to be a really good opportunity for Clint Boyer to be in clean air and lead a lot of laps and see how good that car really is.
Down to a second from what was 1.4 a couple of laps ago as Edwards starts to sniff the draft of our race leader. And with a little bit of help out back from the 5, the 13, the 42 of Ambrose, Robbie Gordon, and Tony Stewart in the 42 car, making up your top 5. As he closes in on our leader, starting to make up heaps of time thanks to the draft. Down inside 7/10 now as he makes up nearly half a second in a lap thanks to the slipstream of the 4. 16 to go in the first half of this race. And you can see the 19 pulling away thanks to the battle now for third behind as Robbie Gordon's going to take over that third position in the 13. That's your points leader. But Boyer is starting to see the most dominant car of the race in his mirror. Start sweating bullets. Don't look now, but here comes Carl Edwards to fight with Boyer for the lead. 15 to go in the first half. This time down the backstretch, he has got there. Not quite close enough to make the move just yet, although he's going to think about trying to slip to the inside, looking for some clean air. Boyer ran about a lane higher than the 19 did. Robbie Gordon has also entered the fray in the 13. Make it a 3-horse race at the top of the table. Edwards with a run out of 2. Does he take it to the inside and into 3? Edwards knows his stuff. He's going to be a little bit patient. Again, trying to seek that clean air coming out of 4. Down the front stretch. Still playing the waiting game as he sits behind the 4 of Boyer, but Boyer leaves a lot of bottom open coming out of turn 2, and here comes Carl Edwards for the lead.
And he's going to try to make sure to make quick work of this 4 car because Robbie Gordon's sitting here licking his chops knowing if these two battle for long enough, Robbie's going to have a chance to take the lead. He nearly took it 3 wide.
He's trying to push Boyer back past the 19 on the outside down the front stretch, and he does. Boyer holds the lead. Can Robbie Gordon go around the outside of Carl Edwards in the 19, who has arguably been the best car in this race?
Wow, he did.
He managed
incredible
it.
Driving.
What a move by the 13 of Robbie Gordon, and he pulls it off. Into the second position goes Robbie Gordon.
I mean, that was the move of the weekend so far. 13 just took it to who has been the man in this race. Robbie Gordon showing why he's our championship leader and a former champion. Unbelievable move.
Boyer still with the lead down the back straightaway. Don't look now, Casey Kane, who has kind of been the slayer of dominant cars at Lowe's in the past, is moving into the 4th position potentially past Tony Stewart. He's the meat of the sandwich between 2 loaves of Chip Ganassi, the 42 and the 01, who are both trying to hound him for the 4th position right now as they are still side by side. Robbie Gordon with 10 to go in the first segment has closed up to the back bumper of Clint Boyer. Can he be the one to make this move? Carl Edwards was maybe just a little bit too patient with the 4, and it allowed Robbie Gordon to get past him for second. He's got to regroup and hold on here and see if he can maybe make 2 spots in 9 laps for that $100,000 bonus and a chance to double it if he wins the race on top of that halfway segment win. 9 to go. Boyer with the lead. Finds himself in control. Carl Edwards putting the pressure on Robbie Gordon. That 13 didn't get through turns 3 and 4 the way he would have hoped, and that's going to allow Carl Edwards to the bottom. And issues for Matt Kenseth in the 17. Caution flag is going to come out as Kenseth loses an engine.
And it has expired all over the front straightaway. It's going to be a lot of cleanup.
I do believe we will get green before the halfway segment ends. Edwards takes over second. Boyer's going to lead it at the caution flag.
We might have a change for third. Not quite. Casey Kane couldn't quite take it from Robbie Gordon there, but was close.
So we will see pit stops, I would have to imagine, under this caution flag as we get set up for what should be a late restart in this first segment. Could go green with about 2 to go. Boyer is going to lead the field down pit road, and that's going to set these guys up for an interesting question. When this halfway break comes, do you come in to top off on fuel before this final segment? That is going to be the question, but field brings it down pit road on lap number 44. Just a handful of laps before segment number 1 comes to a close. Boyer in the 4 pulls it to the inside as he looks for his pit box and finds it. 4 tires and fuel should be the call for the majority of the field here. Would not be surprised if a couple of them take 2. But looking like it is going to be 4 tire stops for pretty much the entirety of the field under this caution flag. And Boyer should hold the lead off of the pit lane. And he will. Restart should happen just a couple of laps from now. We will have a short dash to the end of the first half of this race. Clint Boyer in the 4 leads it. We're going to take it to intermission. It's NASCAR on ESPN. You won't miss a thing. We will be right back. Back from intermission here at Lowe's Motor Speedway, and we will have one final restart for the halfway bonus. Clint Boyer in the 4, your leader off of the pit stops under caution flag. Carl Edwards is in the 2nd spot. 3rd goes to Robbie Gordon. 4th is Casey Kane, and 5th is Marcos Ambrose. As we get set to go green with just 3 laps before the halfway break. Pace car getting set to peel in. Boyer in the 4, your leader. The question is, can he hold the dominant car of Carl Edwards off? Right behind him on the restart, Robbie Gordon, no slouch either. He's looked quick today. Casey Kane in the 12 has had speed as well. 3 to go in the first half. To the restart box. Green flag flies. Good start for the 19 of Carl Edwards. And he's already going to go to the inside before they made it to turn 1. Side by side for the lead. And just like that, Carl Edwards is back to the top spot. Gordon behind him in the 13. He takes it down to the inside into turn 3. Edwards caught napping down through turn 4 into the stripe. 2 to go in the segment. Robbie Gordon has the lead now, and Casey Kane is looking underneath in the 12. Can he make something stick? Down the backstretch with a lap and a half to go. Robbie Gordon clear. Kane to the 2nd spot. He's clear of the 19 of Edwards. Can he get underneath for the lead into turn 1? Not quite. White flag waves. Coming around to finish the first segment. Robbie Gordon with the lead. Casey Kane on his back bumper. Can Robbie hold him off? Kane looking to the bottom, trying to chase him down on the white line, but he's not going to make it happen. A double lead swap at the end, and Robbie Gordon steals the first half. Gordon, Kane, Ambrose, Edwards, and Harvick, your top 5 at the end of the first segment. And now we get the answer to that question from earlier. Does anyone come in to top off on fuel? And that will be the case for all of the top 5. Jeff Gordon in the 24 will be the first car to stay out. And he is the only car to stay on the racetrack. Two tires for Clint Boyer, fuel only for Tony Stewart. And we're seeing a little bit of varying strategy. Only 2 cars that decided to go with 2 or none. And Tony Stewart, with no tires on the 42, is going to take over the top spot out of the pits. Jeff Gordon, the 24, still on the racetrack. We'll see if he comes in to top off late, or if this is a track position move from the 24. But Tony Stewart wins the race off of pit road. Clint Boyer with 2 tires into the 2nd position off of the pits. Robbie Gordon was 3rd off. He's in the 4th spot right now as the 24 leads it. And he will stay on the racetrack. So, halfway over, $100,000 bonus to the points leader, Robbie Gordon, who takes home the halfway segment. We're going to take you to intermission. It's NASCAR and ESPN here from the Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge, and we will be right back. Back from intermission as we get set to go green here from Lowe's. Jeff Gordon in the 24. He will be your leader on the restart, as he stays out under that caution period, was the only car to do so. Tony Stewart, fuel only, 2 tires for Clint Boyer, everybody else on 4. Into the restart box, green flag is in the air. Once again, a good start for the second place car. That's Tony Stewart behind Jeff Gordon. He is not going to be close enough to make a move into turn 1. 50 laps remain in the All-Star. It's NASCAR and ESPN, and off of this start, we're going to shout out traps, let you listen to some engines and nothing more. It's Crank It Up on NASCAR and ESPN. Has a McDonald's visor cam on board. Carl Edwards in the 19 car had to stick with him for just a little while because it is chaotic here in Lowe's Motor Speedway. Number 19 steadily charging forward as he looks to try to recover from a couple of slower pit stops and make his way towards the top of the table. How about Clint Boyer leading this race on just 2 tires and holding off Robbie Gordon, the 13, to do so? He has got arguably the car to beat. But don't look now. It is a 12 of Casey Kane. And then Jimmy Johnson, who is set back outside the top 15 in a race with only 21 cars off of a very, very slow first pit stop, has charged all the way back into the 3rd position, just behind the 12 of Kane, who's looking for the lead. Down the front stretch, he's got it by a bumper. Help from Jimmy Johnson in the 48. And he makes it stick, but for how long? He's got 2 of the better cars of the race right behind him. But a great run coming out of 2, and Casey Kane clear of Jimmy Johnson and Clint Boyer. The 12 moves into the top spot. .35 to go in the Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge. This next time by. Big fight back from Clint Boyer in the 4 down the inside. He's door-to-door with the 13 of Robbie Gordon for the 3rd spot. He's got help from Montoya, who's in the top 5 for the first time today. Ambrose and Carl Edwards go side-by-side for 6 behind that. As Carl Edwards continuing to try to mount his late race charge back to the top of the table. Kevin Harvick, and how about Kyle Busch? Both of these guys, 2 open drivers who have found their way back into the top 10. And Jeff Gordon is forced to pit with 34 to go. I do not believe the 24 is going to have enough fuel to make it to the end of this race. Four tires and fuel for him. And should be pit stops for our leaders not too terribly long from now. Montoya taking a look on Boyer for 3rd. Not quite a big enough run to surmount the draft strength from the 4 down the backstretch following the 48 and the 12. Robbie Gordon instead is going to mount a charge on his previous ride in that 31. Trying to force Montoya the long way around, but a nice piece of defense from the 31 car, and he holds on to 4th. Top 5 staying put. Edwards passed Marcos Ambrose for the 6th spot. The last couple of dominant cars are starting to find their way back forward. Again, Clint Boyer on the older tires, really making it work. They're only a couple of laps older, the left sides on this 4 car, but still, it's impressive at a racetrack this fast that he's able to make this work. Help for Montoya down the backstretch, and he should have the 2nd position here in turn 3. Johnson trying to put up a fight around the outside and does hang tough. Michael Waltrip is the first taker onto pit road, with 30 laps to go. Could potentially be tight for our leaders. Let's see. Kane in the 12. He's going to hit pit road from the lead. Boyer looking like he's going to stay out. Edwards, man, big checkup for the 19 and the 5. Harvick almost into the back of his teammate there as Edwards lost a lot of time getting checked up on entry. Top few cars stay out. Clint Boyer in the 4 remains on the racetrack as the leader. These guys should have enough fuel to make it. Boyer, Johnson, Robbie Gordon down pit road. Casey Kane leads Kyle Busch with a nice stop in the 43 off of pit road. Boyer, our race leader, is in. See if he can stay tight with Kane. Leaving the pits. Four tires and fuel. Boyer is away. Very nice stop for him, as he is a long way in front of the 48 of Johnson leaving the pits. Waiting to see where the rest of the field cycles out. Boyer is fighting with the 12 of Kane for the lead out of pit road. What a pit stop by the 43 of Kyle Busch. Harvick is off of pit road, and that should be the last of them. Back up to speed off of pit road. Don't look now, but Kyle Busch from the open has found his way into the top 3 with a very real chance to contend for the win here in the All-Star Challenge. The crossover, man, that was a valiant effort by the 43. He pointed the nose down there, but Kane had it wrapped around the bottom, holds him off. So 2 Pontiacs and a Dodge for the moment. There's a couple more of them behind our top 3. Montoya is in 4th place. 5th belongs to Jimmy Johnson. Should note we are having some issues with the ticker at the moment. So do bear with us as we try to sort out these technical difficulties. That should have it fixed. So, Boyer in the lead. Kane 2nd, Kyle Busch 3rd, Montoya 4th, Jimmy Johnson 5th. As they seek after our race leaders. Jeff Gordon on those older tires in the 24, fading backwards from the top group. Big pack from 8th on back as Robbie Gordon, not the stop that he was looking for in this All-Star. But Clint Boyer, now on the fresh tires, has found his way back into the lead on the same playing field as the rest of them. And with 21 laps to go, we should be good to the end on fuel, and he should have a good shot at making the end of this race and is looking like he could be the car to beat tonight. But Kasey Kahne, who has always seemed like he just knows this racetrack better than almost anybody, has found his way back into second and has a chance to put that 12 in victory lane. ...2007 was the last time that the 12 was a winner in the Cup Series. Kahne has won this race in the past. It was 2007 that he bested DJ Kennington not once but twice at this very racetrack, both in the All-Star and in the Coke 600. Both times the 81 was the dominant car, and both times Kahne was better at the end of it to beat him for the win, but he's got the 4 this time to contend with as Clint Bowyer looks for a first career Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge win with 19 coming to 18 laps to go. Don't look now, but Montoya in the 31 and Jimmy Johnson in the 48 have closed in on the leaders. Ambrose in the 5 doing the same from 6th place. Should be a 6-car battle for the win. Question is, which one of them comes out on top? Kahne unable to get to the back bumper of the 4 of Bowyer these last handful of laps. Little bit of a run coming out of turn 4 that time, is able to just slowly reel him in a couple hundredths at a time. Bowyer has been so good since he got the lead way back before the halfway mark in this race, has had one of the cars to beat, and since he retook the lead after our halfway break with the 2-tire call, has been the car to surmount for the top spot. But Kasey Kahne is still knocking on the door, and the rest of the fast cars left in it are closing the gap. That's Montoya in the 31, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, and Marcos Ambrose in the 5, who are looking to slip past Kyle Busch for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions. Kahne within a 10th. He's closer than he has been this entire time. Down the front stretch. Here he comes to the inside. Side by side for the lead. Little bit of a side draft from the 12. Down into turn 1. The 2 Pontiacs for the lead in the All-Star Challenge. And this time through turn 2, new race leader Kasey Kahne's got the top spot. Bowyer trying the crossover, but can't quite get the nose underneath. That battle for the lead pulls Montoya back into it. Bowyer on the back bumper down the front stretch. He's going to go for it to the inside. Once again, side by side for the lead. Ambrose looking to get under Johnson. That's for 4th. Here comes Montoya. Johnson clears his teammate. Top 5 are under a blanket, all single file. Monster run by the 31 of Montoya down the front stretch. Can he get to the inside of Bowyer for the lead? He will. Snuck the nose underneath. Bowyer up into the marbles. 11 laps to go, and for the first time tonight, here comes Juan Pablo Montoya for the race lead. Kahne to follow him. Ambrose under his teammate Johnson, who tried to block him. Almost 3 wide. Kane with a big push from Jimmy Johnson. Can he get underneath of Montoya for the lead into one? Not quite. Montoya runs him down to the white line. Kane clear of Clint Boyer for third. Johnson into third place. Kane into second. Ambrose follows through to P4. 10 coming to 9 laps to go in the All-Star Challenge. Montoya has never won a stock car race on an oval. He's got some of the sport's best right behind him, looking to try to steal it from him. Ambrose again under his teammate, this time for third place. What a run by the 5. He's got help from Boyer down the front stretch, who's thinking about taking it 3 wide. Boyer thinks better of it. He stays behind the 5. Still side by side for P3. Ambrose trying to outdo his teammate. Boyer pushes him by. Ambrose to P3. Can the 4 take the 4th spot? Johnson still hanging tough around the outside lane versus his teammate, but he can't quite stay there. Ambrose is going to block him. Top 2 break away just a little bit. Kane taking a look down the inside coming out of turn 2. Look at this run from Ambrose. Here comes the 5 for second place into turn 3. Nowhere for Boyer to go. He had a better run than both of the Hendrick cars. Ambrose on the bottom into second place while Montoya continues to lead. Johnson a little tight in turn 3. He had to check up. Look at this run. Marcos Ambrose down the front stretch. 5 laps to go, and here comes the 5. What a run! The Microsoft Chevrolet takes the lead as Marcos Ambrose goes to the top spot. Johnson up the middle, 3 wide for third place behind the leaders. How did he find that gap? Four to go. Boyer back into second place. Ambrose a little wide out of turn 2. Here comes Clint Boyer down the back stretch. Monster run by both second and third. Who jumps to the bottom first? Boyer to the inside. Can he get underneath Ambrose in turn 1? Yes, he does. 2.5 laps to go. Boyer down to the bottom, and the 4 takes over the lead. Johnson is second. Ambrose with a run on his teammate down the front stretch. Can he get back underneath in 1? He will. Johnson stays clear around the outside. Can Boyer hold him off? 1.5 to go in the All-Star. Out of turn 4, it's Boyer versus Hendrick. White flag waves. Johnson with a run. Ambrose under his teammate. That could very well do it. 1/2 lap to go for Boyer down the back stretch. He's gonna do it. This time through turns 3 and 4, only one of them could win it. Clint Boyer steals one in the All-Star versus the Hendrick boys and holds on to win it. Clint Boyer takes home $1 million in Charlotte. What a race! Clint Boyer, your winner in the 2009 Coca-Cola All-Star Challenge. What a way to end it. The 4 of Clint Boyer gets it done here tonight. A wild conclusion to the end of it, and the 4 of Boyer wins it. What a race. As always, here in Lowe's Motor Speedway, and the All-Star comes to a conclusion with the 4 of Clint Boyer, your winner, and an absolute thriller. Next time out, it'll be the points race, the Coca-Cola 600, to conclude the first third of the 2009 season. I've been Caden Reif, joined by Nate in the booth here tonight. It's been a pleasure to have you along, as always. We'll see you next time, and have yourself a good one.